Hey guys, we're here with another Alovéa Pros podcast, and this has to be one of the most exciting ones for me because I get to be hanging out with um, just the coolest guy I've met in a long time. And man, his story is incredible. We got the Chief Executive Officer of Unchained here. He's got incredible book that was called the Unchained Life Manual, and it was a top-selling national spiritual and mental healing on Amazon. You've got top 5% worldwide video podcasts on Spotify. And I am talking about a story that is incredible. And I can't wait to be hearing it from you. So, Benjamin Farley, man, I am excited to have you here today. Welcome.
I appreciate the invite. It's an honor to be here.
Man, so you and I are on the opposite side of the countries right now. I'm out in Western North Carolina. You're out over in California. And your story, I mean, it's almost hard to begin with what you've done, how you've impacted people, how you've impacted and just really changed your entire life. But I mean, your whole journey started with a car accident. So where did you go from this car accident to what you've done and what you've built?
So I got into a lot of trouble as a kid, and I was heavily addicted to drugs, and not the easy drugs, the hard drugs that make you lose a lot of weight and do a lot of bad things. Got pneumonia and was probably weighing about 140 pounds in 1994, and I don't know how I wound up back at my parents' house, but somehow I wound up back there. And after sleeping for 4 days, I got up, and I was 2 steps away from death's doorstep. And a good buddy of mine was Mr. Teen San Diego in 1994. His name was Ryan Lorello. He was a professional bodybuilder and at a body weight of 170 was benching 350 10 times. So he was an absolute machine, and he was a good friend from high school. And so he came over one day and took one look at me and he said, "Man, we got to get you into the gym." So he trained me every day for about 6 months, and I put on 40 pounds and was feeling great. Everything was going my way my senior year of high school. I had a friend named Summer whose father was in the movie industry. She had set me up with a date from this beautiful girl from Nickelodeon. We were going to go to prom. And after the 1995 Super Bowl, I made the mistake of getting into a car with one of the wrong friends from the old life. And he had been up for a few days on a bender, and he on our way to his dad's house to go hang out with a couple girls and go swimming. We didn't make it there because he got to a stop sign where he did not stop, and we got T-boned by a Volvo doing about 50 up the hill, and it broke every bone in the left side of my face. So the next thing I know, I'm looking up at 5 paramedics who were treating me as if I had a severed vertebrae. They asked me if I could wiggle my fingers and toes, which I could, so that was positive. When they got me to ICU, they had multiple radiologists look at all the film. So luckily I did not break my neck, but I had an extensive reconstructive oral maxillofacial surgery reconstruction on the jaw, orbital bone, cheekbone, and nose. It was a very long recovery. And if it was not for being in the gym with Mr. Teen San Diego for 6 months, I guarantee you I would not be here today. So after that recovery, it motivated me to get into the fitness industry. And so I went 100% pedal to the metal with personal training and bodybuilding. And I climbed the ladder in a big fitness corporation. I was a booked solid as a trainer. I became a fitness manager. I was #1 in the company out of 400 locations. I ended up getting promoted to a regional management position in Northern California in 2005. I inherited a region that was dead last in the company in 2004. In 2005, we were #1 in the division and #2 in the company. And I was on my way to climbing the corporate ladder and getting to the ivory tower. And, to just give you like the quick summary of what happened over that decade, they sold the company in 2007. A completely different ownership group took over. They eliminated my job nationwide. They cut everyone's pay by 30%. And I ended up getting into real estate. My wife was a mortgage broker. We've been married 17 years happily. We have 2 beautiful kids, 12 and 14. We live in Roseville, California. So I had a very successful real estate career, became a broker. I own my own company still, but fitness has always been my passion. And to tell you the truth, after having kids and being married, I kind of fell into the slump, drinking beer, eating pizza, not going to the gym, putting on weight, not feeling good. And so it wasn't until probably 5 years ago that I dove back into fitness.
But I mean, I think that's such a relatable story, at least the part of falling off and, starting life and getting out of those routines. But I think it's amazing. Like when you go back to think that, there's moment in people's lives, right, that are just like kind of that spark. Cause I didn't know that part of your story, that, this was all the way back in high school, that it started where, you were having those challenges and then you got into fitness before the accident. And, a lot of people probably would have gotten in that accident and then not get back in the routine. So it's pretty amazing how you're kind of identifying that shifted and changed your life. So
Well, my
where,
buddy Ryan was like a guardian angel. I mean, if that dude didn't come over to my parents' house that day and motivate me to get in the gym, because he walks in looking like a Greek god at age 18, and I'm like, man, I want to look like you, bro. So how do I do this? And he kicked my ass, 6 days a week for 6 months.
yeah. Well, and it's amazing too when you talk about that experience of building something. You and I were talking earlier. We have similar backgrounds. Mine was in tennis. I built a huge tennis company. You built a big fitness, huge business. You had tons of people working for you. So did I, in the tennis side of things. But there's something about when somebody can take that away, or the company gets sold and they make these decisions. So how did that feel when you transitioned to real estate? What was the transition like into that world?
The easiest way to sum it up would be total depersonalization. I had no idea who I was anymore. And it was not my passion. I mean, obviously the paychecks are good. I've had months where I've made 6 figures in a month multiple times. And it's great because you have freedom to travel. You're not worried about bills. I mean, when you make 100 grand in a month, you feel rich. I mean, that's a lot of money for anyone, but I was missing something. Like in my heart and soul was missing something. And I loved the passion and the energy and the inspiration of helping someone change their life. That is what made me wake up every day in the corporate fitness world at 4 a.m., be at the gym at 5 for my workout, shower, get ready for my day by 6:30, and work until 8 o'clock at night, 6 days a week, nonstop. No one could outwork me because I was on fire, because I loved what I did. And I miss that feeling. And that's something that I've got back recently.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because that's what this whole program with Alovéa is about. So, Alovéa being a worldwide nutrition leader and a social business, actually, where part of our products, every single time we sell a product, we create a matching product in need for children, with 7 million kids dying of nutrition. But we're attracting so many coaches, trainers, healthcare professionals like you, fitness trainers, and really kind of industry leaders, because I think there's this heart to want to make a difference with others. And because you now, son, you've created this huge online presence, and I'm sure you're going to share some of that story in a little bit. But how did you go from real estate to building this huge online presence, really becoming a healing leader and a spiritual leader, to now being also partnered with this company, Alovéa? You're a sponsored pro. How did that all happen?
I owe it all to my son. I really do. So he's turning 15 in May, and 5 years ago he was 10 years old, and I had just invented my machine. So my machine, you can see it at unchained.earth. It's the only one like it anywhere in the world. That's what my patent attorneys have told me. And so it is a patent pending device. And it is a modality called inverted rotary vestibular input. So basically, it's a scientific term for spinning while inverted. And so rotary vestibular input is a therapy that is emerging in the field of behavior management with ADD, autism, balance disorders, PTSD, depression, anxiety. And what they do is they put someone on a tire swing or an office chair, and they simply spin them around. And why that's important is it balances the vestibular system in the inner ear. And that system is responsible for balance, coordination, spatial awareness, emotional regulation, and behavior control. And what they found is they take kids or adults with these conditions, and after 1 or 2 minutes of rotation, they're more calm, they can pay attention, their behavior is more regulated and controlled, they're happier, and they have a parasympathetic response where they are more relaxed. And so, long story short, I invent this machine, and my son is 10 at the time, and he's like, Dad, you got to get on TikTok. And I'm like,
Really?
JB, TikTok is for people doing stupid dances. I'm too good for that.
That is awesome.
The ego was running the show, and he was just working on me, relentless, just like me. And I'm like, okay, buddy, I will create an account. I'll do one video on the machine. We'll see what happens. So the day I create the account, he's got my phone in the driveway. I've got my geodesic dome put up in the driveway. I put on the gravity boots. I get on there and I do my first video. It got 300,000 views in 2 days.
Wow.
And my account went viral. So within the first 9 months, I had 250,000 followers and I had just published my book. My book went viral. I was selling 1,000 copies a month of my book. It was just like a dream come true because of a 10-year-old kid telling me to get on TikTok. I had affiliate marketing deals. I was making 15 grand a month selling, affiliate. I got hit up by 2,000 different companies selling garbage.
Sure.
And I picked a handful where I looked at the third-party testing and I took it and I believed in it. And I got blood work done, vitamin D test to make sure my levels were up. So, I mean, I had a lot of stuff going on, but I will not censor myself. And when I know of holistic wellness hacks that can help save someone's life or change someone's life or get them off pharma drugs, I am going to speak up. And because I speak up, they rug pulled me and they took my account.
Oh my goodness. That is craziness. So first of all, I mean, that's to be one of the coolest stories ever, to think that your 10-year-old son got you into this world of.
He changed my life. Because I had the humility to check my ego and realize that this boy is growing up in a different world that I grew up in, and I don't have all the answers.
Wow. Well, and then so TikTok all of a sudden blows up on you, like you said, and you're not going to change your way and type of communication. You move over to, I know you moved over to some other platforms. So how did it go from there to? And I love what you said too, because you got hit up by everybody. When you have that credibility, you're going viral, you create that kind of excitement. Everybody wants you to promote their product. So probably no different than Alovéa. Somebody connected with you. Can you share that story? Because I think that's an interesting process of how you went from there to still being willing to be sponsored by this company.
I never would have met Joel Bauman, King Bao, if I didn't get my TikTok account banned, because I've had Joel's post-fight interview video in my favorites on my phone for 3.5, 4 years. And he's always been like an idol to me because he's fearless and he's a machine. And I respect what he does as an athlete. And so because they rug pulled me at TikTok, luckily I still had my podcast. So I have a good following on Spotify. But I put all my eggs in that TikTok basket. So no Instagram, no YouTube, no nothing, no X. And so I said, okay, I'll start from zero. So I join Instagram, somehow link up with Joel, become friends with Joel. And he says, man, I know you train. I've seen your videos. You got to try this stuff. And I was like, I was in the industry, bro. I know what goes on in the industry. I was very skeptical, but because it was Joel and I respected him, I tried it. Now here's where it gets exciting. So my hair had been falling out for 4 years and it was not steroid related. The last time I did a cycle was when I was bodybuilding in 2003. I did not start testosterone replacement until last January. So we're talking 4 or 5 years of consistent hair loss. I'm on Immune for 14 days and no hair is falling out of my head.
Wow.
After 6 or 7 weeks, it's growing back. I started growing my hair out as a joke with the wife because she's like, dude, why are you going to get a haircut? Just bick it, get it over with. She's like, grow it out. And when the bald spot's ridiculous, we're going to shave it all off. I was like, all right, honey, fine. And I'm not doing Rogaine and I'm not doing like finasteride. Like those are nasty drugs that have horrible side effects. So I tried everything like, saw palmetto and, copper and all these different shampoos. Nothing worked. 7 weeks into Immune, hair is growing back, no bald spot, no hair loss. I'm waking up at 4:30 or 5 every day with no alarm, ready to go. I'm on the vibration plate in the gym. I go walk the dog. I come back and get in the pool for the cold plunge. Then I make the coffee. Then I start my day. Then I get to work. Then I have my workout. And my energy is consistent all day long. Now, to make it even better, I got on the Limitless, and I've had a rotator cuff issue since baseball. Oh, wow. I was a walk-on to my high school team. I was the only walk-on my high school team, and I was pretty good at baseball. Probably would have played college ball, but whatever. Same story everyone else has. So I've had a rotator cuff issue, since high school and from bodybuilding. And I've had a horrible tendon issue in the elbow. 2 months after starting Limitless, gone. Okay. I benched 225 10 times again at age 48. I haven't done that in 20 years. I mean, I feel, other than all the white hair in the beard, I feel like I'm 25 years old again.
Yeah, but it's kind of looking kind of badass too. So, I mean, you're looking
Gandalf is a
badass
pretty cool
and you're
wizard.
feeling great. But it is, it's crazy because we work with a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers, a lot of healthcare professionals, and a lot of people have this credibility that have influence over their clientele. And so a lot of our coaches get sponsored mainly to help their clients and their patients and their followers. But then we often hear this is the story they hear. They're like, wait, this has completely impacted my own health so quickly and impactfully. So that's super cool. Now, tell me, because I think what's really cool, this, I said earlier, this company's a buy one, nourish one. So every single product, the company's just, I think, surpassed 58 million servings to children in need with the same ingredient you're talking about that's impacting your life is in that same technology to the kids. But you also have a passion around making a difference because you're heavily involved with really the military and what that's, because I think a lot of family members talk about this being part of a social business. Is that also meaningful for you to be sponsored by this company? Because you're putting your reputation, being connected to this
I've
brand.
got a lot of first responders on the product. Most of my friends are cops, SWAT guys, paramedics, firefighters, Marines. My cousin was a Ranger team leader during Desert Storm. His team is actually the one that rescued the Kuwaiti ambassador that was being held hostage in the embassy. Crazy story I'll tell you offline. My other cousin did 20 years in the Marine Corps. He worked at NORAD Northcom. 6 deployments, leg amputation, reconstructive surgery, blown up, shot, you name it. He's a wounded warrior gold medalist in archery, shooting, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby. He's a professional wheelchair basketball player on the national team, and they just won the national championship last year. So I'm surrounded by warriors, and I have the utmost amount of respect for those men and women. And we're losing 22 veterans a day in this country to suicide every day. Every single year, we lose double the amount of lives that we lost on 9/11 because of suicide. And so my mission is to put an end to that with my technology, my machine, my book, my coaching, these products, and bringing together the right people that want to make a difference.
Wow. Well, and hopefully this podcast can reach out to some people that can inspire them to get your book and to follow what you're doing and help you in any way of doing that, because that's inspiring, right? When you have something that you have a purpose, a mission, something impactful, people want to be part of that. And I know you've already been kind of inspiring a lot of people to change their own health, not only with your own story, but now also with these technologies. So tell
Speaking
people,
of real quick, speaking of your technology, I have something really interesting for you. So for the men out there on testosterone replacement therapy, when they go to a TRT clinic, they get their testosterone, but they also get human chorionic gonadotropin, and they get something called Arimidex to modulate estrogen. And the reason why is because when you're on TRT, the body will not produce endogenous luteinizing hormone or follicle stimulating hormone. And when that happens, the neurosteroids in the brain, the feel-good hormones diminish. So then you get guys on TRT that have low sex drive, low energy, they have insomnia, they have hot flashes, they have irritability because their DHEA and pregnenolone levels are lower. I started taking Balance 2 months ago, and I don't have any of those side effects. I do not take HCG. I will not take an aromatase inhibitor because I think they're very dangerous for heart health. And I have a theory about dioxinin, which you guys synthesize from yams. Now, they also synthesize synthetic progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone from yams. But when you look at dioxinin, I have a theory that when you have dioxinin and ace-mannan, there's a synergistic effect between the two. And my hypothesis is I think that it will allow for endogenous production of LH and FSH while you're on TRT. So if that's true, and I'm going to get blood work done to try to prove this theory, because I've been on TRT for a solid year with no HCG and no aromatase inhibition drugs at all. If I'm producing LH and FSH, that is theoretically impossible based on using exogenous testosterone. And if that's real, you guys have a huge opportunity in the TRT industry to incorporate these products combined as an adjunct or an ancillary product for guys on TRT, because it will make you feel better. Usually when guys take TRT, they have the honeymoon phase for like 6 months where they feel amazing, but then things kind of start to go south. And then they go back to the clinic and they're like, I'm not sleeping good. I have hot flashes. I'm irritable. I'm anxious. My heart's racing, blah, blah, blah. I'm retaining water because their estrogen's going up. So they get them on all this other stuff. I think that other stuff is unnecessary. And I think that the key component for me was and am I saying it right? Dioxinin. Okay, so I think that is the missing link here. And I think there's a synergistic effect with Ace Mannin.
Well, I think you've just set up the next podcast that we have to do together. We'll bring on C. Burns, one of the product formulators with that product, and that would be a really cool follow-up to this.
Now, I could be wrong because, it's just a hypothesis. I just know that I have taken testosterone in the past, and I have never felt this good.
Yeah, well, I think, and we hear that comment all the time. So I think we should get your results, and you and I stay connected, and let's do a follow-up because that would be a cool podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to get an LH and FSH test here in the next few weeks.
Awesome. Well, hey man, this was such an honor hanging out with you, and your content and what you're doing and your vision is amazing. I encourage everybody watching this, go check it out. Where will people find you?
So unchained.earth. Unchained.earth is my main website. You can find my link tree on Instagram at unchained.brain.
Awesome. Well, hey man, we appreciate you being an Alovéa Pro. We appreciate you hanging out with us today and can't wait to do that next one with you. All right.
It's been an honor.
All right, man. Cheers.